Hello and welcome to another episode of the Top Dogs podcast here on the Field of 68 Media Network. I wanted to make sure I got up something quickly here, talking about UConn's win over Seton Hall. 71-67 was the final. It was a come from behind win with about 9 minutes left. UConn was down by 8 points. It was 54-46 at one point. And I did not feel good about it. I did not feel good about it with the way that UConn was turning the ball over and kind of struggling a little bit offensively with what Seton Hall was doing on the defensive end of the floor. But UConn was able to find a way to pull it out. Big performance from Alex Karaban. That's where I kind of want to start with this reaction pod, because I think it's fitting that on the day when he makes it onto the wall and becomes one of the Huskies of honor, as an active player, which is something that you almost never see. I don't think we have ever seen, actually. 23 points, 5 of 6 from 3, 2 steals, 2 blocks, a couple of assists, bunch of rebounds, played all 40 minutes in a game where UConn had to win this if they're going to have an opportunity to win the Big East championship. So unbelievable performance. And just on Alex and on AK, I think that he is the embodiment of everything that we love about college basketball, right? Of everything that has made this sport so special, of everything that we kind of fall in love with when it comes to college hoops and when it comes to being a fan. And that is because we've seen him, UConn fans that is, have seen him grow from being a guy that kind of came in and was a red shirt early and was a little bit awkward. And, you watch the videos of him and you watch him at EYBL, and he's not like the most athletic, and he's not the most aesthetically pleasing, and he's not the most fluid athlete. And you hear the stuff about him in workouts, and you hear the stuff about him in practices, and you hear the stuff about him early on in the season before he was a freshman. And it's just, this kid knows what he's doing, Rob. This kid's going to have a chance to be really good, Rob. This kid's going to be a player for us, Rob. And it's like, okay, like I hear you. And then you see him out there and you see what he's doing and you see the way that he plays and you see the way that he contributes. And there's just something about the impact that he has had on that program that I think says a lot about his development, a lot about his loyalty, a lot about why UConn is what they've been over the course of the last 4 years. And he's never going to be the most vocal leader. He's never going to be the guy that is kind of up there pounding his chest and screaming and talking to microphones. But there is a way that he kind of leads by example that is really, really impressive. And, the fact that he stuck it out for as long as he did, the fact that he came back not once, but twice when he had the opportunity to go off to the NBA. The fact that, he's still playing here. He's still with this program, and he has an opportunity when his name goes up on the wall to go out there and put up 23 points. He hit huge shot after huge shot. I honestly thought that it was kind of setting up for a game where he was going to end up hitting a buzzer beater on his last night in Gamble Pavilion. It did not work out that way, but he had he had an incredible game and an incredible performance on his senior night, and that is something that will resonate, and I'm sure that he is going to remember for a long, long, long time. So I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he was a Husky. I'm happy that he decided to make this program be the place that he would call home, and I am going to thoroughly enjoy watching him have what I hope is a long and prosperous NBA career. So kudos to you, Alex. We'll hopefully spend a little bit more time on this on After Dark tonight. And we have the request in right now. I don't know if we're going to be able to pull it off, but hopefully we're going to be able to get an interview here with Alex on his last night as a college basketball player in his own court. So credit to him. Now, just some bigger picture stuff on this matchup, because outside of Karaban and outside of the way that he played, I think that this was a little bit of, I don't know if it was a concerning game. I think it was an obvious letdown spot. I think that it was, with the emotions that were kind of going around with the senior night and the last night for Alex and the last night for Terrace. I think that you could have maybe expected a little bit of this slow start. I want to start with the St. John's 3-point shooting, because I've seen some people be like, see, this is proof that UConn can't play any defense. Well, no, that's not That's not what happened here. Seton Hall came into this game shooting 27% from three in the Big East, the worst in the conference. And they are one of, I think they were 333rd nationally in three-point shooting on the season at just about 30%. But what they have are guys that can put the ball on the floor and get to the paint and score. They have guys that can get on the offensive glass and be a threat. They have big physical bodies. And what they do is they do their damage in the paint. And I thought that UConn actually did a really good job of kind of funneling their guards into the paint, cutting off the driving angle so they couldn't finish on the rim, and making them take tough turnaround twos. And they made them. You know, Bud Clark hit a bunch of those little fadeaways in there. Elijah Fisher had like 3 or 4 of them that he hit. Najee Hines got a couple of things off the offensive glass. You know, AJ Stanton-McCray made 1 or 2 of them. And then you combine that with the fact that they make 8 of their first 12 threes. And I don't think that that is necessarily bad defense, right? In my opinion, what happened with Seton Hall tonight was really good shot making. I thought that Seton Hall played really, really well. And UConn was giving up the shots that they wanted to give up and that they were okay allowing, and Seton Hall was making them. And sometimes that's just what you have to live with when you put together a game plan. You know, you can't take – I know Seton Hall is probably headed to the crown. I know this is not the greatest team in the world, but that is still a team that is 9-9 in the Big East, that as long as they win one more game here is going to win 20 games on the season. So they are not bad, right? They might not be great, but they are not bad. And they got some confident dudes that were playing with their backs against the wall and were desperate, and they looked like it. And they made some really tough shots, and they made a bunch of threes, and they got their confidence going in a little bit. And I don't think – this is just me. I don't think this had anything to do with UConn's defense. I actually thought that you could probably watch that and say UConn had a pretty solid defensive effort. I don't think it was the greatest effort when it comes to toughness, right? One of the things that I kind of circled in the first half, there were 3 or 4 loose balls that Seton Hall was just the first guy on the ground for. Seton Hall was the tougher team, that Seton Hall was a more aggressive team, that Seton Hall was able to come up with those loose balls. And 2 of those 3 led directly to buckets. So you combine that with the 15 turnovers that UConn, like 15 turnovers on 63 possessions. They turned the ball over 24% of the time when UConn had it. That is just not going to be acceptable for a team that has a chance to win a national championship. I know how good Seton Hall can be on that end. I know how tough they are defensively. And I actually thought it was promising that this wasn't like Silas just kicking the ball all over the place. What was worrying was it was kind of what Seton Hall was trying to play into in the half court, right? Alex had a couple where he was, you know, you're going up against the zone and he tried to fire a couple passes in there that didn't work out. There were 2 or 3 times where Terrace got the ball in the post and it just got taken away from him because Seton Hall said 2 guys at him. I thought that there were probably 5 or 6 possessions where UConn's coming off of either a ball screen or a DHO or a pin down, and they curl, and 2 guys go with the guy that has the ball, and they make these, like, try to make these looping passes over the top to the roll man that just either got stolen or tipped away by Seton Hall's length. And those were just kind of like, well, are we gonna learn our lesson here at any point? Are we gonna have an answer here at any point? So that was something that kind of stood out to me as well. But the turnovers and the foul shots are going to be things that are just going to drive every single one of us insane every time UConn plays in a close game. And at this point, it just kind of, that's what it is, right? That's what UConn is. They are a team that turns the ball over a little bit too much, and they are a team that is a solid free throw shooting team that has a guy that shoots their most free throws that is not a very good free throw shooter in Terrace Reed. And it is what it is. That's who they are, and that's who they've proven to be. And we are now 30 games into this season, and it is still the same thing. That's just what it is. I don't think it's necessarily going to change, but it's something that UConn has shown that they can overcome in some of the biggest games that they end up playing. So hopefully that doesn't end up being something that costs them a game in the tournament, but I would not necessarily be surprised if that is what ended up being one of their Achilles heels once they get to the dance. As you know by now, we have teamed up with BetMGM again this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we will have special offers for Field of 68 fans, including same-game parlays, best-in-class live betting, and daily odds boost. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app, you sign up using bonus code FIELD, you deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Make this college basketball season one for the history books. Make it legendary. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. There is no sport in America that is more difficult to follow than college basketball. It can be overwhelming. That's where the Field of 68 Daily comes into play. The Daily is your go-to source for injury updates, recruiting news, and transfer portal additions that actually matter. For just $50 a year, get access to the same information that your favorite team's coaching staff is subscribed for. Quality content can be hard to find in the college basketball space. The Daily is here to help you with that. Big news, guys. Cash App just released a new status program for the way people actually spend called Cash App Green. It unlocks new ways for you to pay, get rewarded, and easily grow or manage your money on your terms. Now, when you spend at least $500 a month with the Cash App card or Cash App Pay, you earn green status, which unlocks benefits like up to $200 of free overdraft coverage, higher borrow limits, and custom personalized cashback offers every Friday at places that you love to shop. Turn everyday spending into status with Cash App Green. Download Cash App today or visit cash.app/new to learn more about this and other great features launching now. For a limited time, new Cash App customers can earn $10 if they use Cash App 10 in their profile at sign up and send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank member FDIC. Cash App Green, overdraft coverage, borrow, cashback offers, and promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosure. Taking care of your mental health shouldn't be harder than taking care of your physical health. Get rid of the long wait lists and expensive appointments with Rula, where the average session copay is just $15 and every therapist on the platform is licensed, vetted, and picked for their expertise. You're talking to someone legit, not just someone who is available. You just answer a survey and you get connected with a therapist that fits your needs. Go to rula.com/F68. That's RULA.com/F68 and take control of your mental health. And look, it's not just, so here's where the turnovers kind of, to me, had the biggest impact on this game, right? It's 54-46. UConn is still kind of like stuck in the mud a little bit in the second half, right? And they rip off this run where Karaban hits a big three. Seton Hall calls a timeout. He hits another big three. Then there's a turnover at the other end. The ball ends up going in transition, and Braylon Mullins knocks down a dagger that puts UConn up 58-56. And UConn proceeds to get a stop on the next three possessions that Seton Hall has. But at the other end, the first one, Seton Hall goes to zone, and that's the one where Alex throws the fastball at Terrace Reed that kind of goes through his hands, ends up being a turnover. They get another stop at the other end, come down back on this side, and Malachi Smith ends up kicking the ball away. They come back down again, and then UConn's got the ball offensively. Third chance to try to extend this lead when Gamble is ready to erupt, man. You could hear it. You could hear it in that building that it was ready to just have the roof get blown off. And that was a one where they dribble out the clock. There's like 5 seconds left on the shot clock, and Silas he's on the right side of the floor, drives with his right hand. Probably got fouled, I think. It was close. I probably think it was a foul in the context of this specific game. Maybe it wasn't because a lot got let go, but he drives and he ends up, I don't think it got credited as a turnover. I think it got credited as a missed shot, but whatever it was a possession at the end of the clock where you did not get a good opportunity or shot at the rim as a result of it. And that led to a three at the other end where Seton Hall took the lead back and got back up by 3 points. So it's not that's where it kind of comes into play, right? Where you have the momentum going, you have the ball, and you make a self-inflicted mistake that not only takes the air out of it, like that one turnover there. Those three turnovers, like it's three possessions, but it means so much more in the context of that game. And those are the kind of mistakes that I don't think you see out of championship caliber teams consistently, right? Like everyone has games where this happens, but there's too many times with UConn where you have those moments, right? And everything else they do is really, really at a high level. But here's the complicating factor with this group and this year's team, right? In 2024, it was very clear that UConn was the class of college basketball, right? No one's going to argue that. Even the Purdue team that had Zach Edey and Braden Smith wouldn't argue that, right? And now, this year, they are not. And that's not a dig. That's not to say that some of these other programs are better programs, but like look at what Duke's doing right now. Duke just beat UVA. Compare those two things, right? Compare think about it like this, right? We haven't seen Arizona play Kansas at home yet, but Arizona's playing Kansas at 4:00. That's going to happen in an hour and 23 minutes from the time that I'm recording this. At noon, the same time that UConn tipped off, Duke hosted Virginia, who's the second best team in that conference, came in at 25-3, and the number 11 team in the country, number 14 in KenPom, and then beat them by 26, right? Michigan last night went on the road, and if it wasn't for two garbage time threes from Illinois, would have beat the number 10 team in the country by 20 on the road. I know UConn just had that big win over St. John, so this is kind of like, it would have been a different conversation if we were talking about this on Wednesday. I totally get that. But Seton Hall comes in, and it's a game where UConn has to fight for their life to be able to win. And yes, there's more context to that in this specific matchup than I'm kind of giving credit for right here in an immediate reaction. But that's the context of where the top three teams in the country are and where UConn is. I think UConn can hang with them. If they play like they did against Seton Hall, they can beat them. But that was one time that we've seen since non-conference play that UConn has strung together 40 minutes that they looked that good. And I argue, and I got some pushback on this from when I said this last week, I would argue that even in some of those games that they played in the non-conference, right, I thought that they played really good 25 minutes against Florida and almost let Florida back into that game. Illinois, they were good for most of the game, but it kind of is what it is. I thought that against Arizona, if you remember, they were down by 13 with like 13 minutes left and found a way to be able to rally and come back and have a chance to take the lead late. So it's all there to play for. I believe that there's still a ceiling with this group, but sometimes it's just kind of like it feels like they've forgotten how to be able to do things at a championship level. With championship discipline for 40 straight minutes. So I feel like I'm being too negative on this right now because this is a game where, like, look, you still got a chance to win a Big East regular season title. If St. John's loses one of the three games that they have left, then UConn has a chance to beat Marquette and win an outright Big East regular season championship. So it's all, it should not feel negative, but it's, you know, maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh on this. Maybe I'm picking nits a little bit too much. So I will say that it is a good sign on a night where UConn frankly did not play great basketball that they can go out and get a win because a guy like Alex Karaban goes nuts and a guy like Silas Demery does not turn the ball over and they get enough plays. Look, you know what? We got to give Jaden Ross a shout out because I thought Jaden Ross was sensational again in 19 minutes off of the bench. Rybo was good. Malachi Smith, like there's limitations there. I think that you have to play Silas like 35 minutes at this point, but really, really promising stuff from Jaden Ross, who's kind of over the course of the last, I'll say 3 to 4 weeks, has really, really started to look like the guy that we've heard about all season long. So I think that's enough for my rants for today. I just wanted to make sure that I got something out on this game and on this performance. And I am hoping that we're going to be able to have an interview here with Alex Karaban. I don't know if it's going to end up being on this channel or in this episode of Top Dogs, but we will have hopefully an interview with Alex Karaban up on the channel and up in the podcast feed here at some point. So appreciate you guys listening. And we got a week off here from UConn basketball, a week to try to solve some of these turnover issues. But heck of a win, heck of a night for Alex Karaban, and I hope that he felt the love that I know was radiating from the UConn fan base that was in Gamble Pavilion.